Hello, this is the tradesight U.S. stocks and futures market preview and domestic economic data roadmap for the week beginning Monday, December 8th, 2014, and ending Friday, December 12th. Before we do anything, let's talk real quick about the layout of the calendar here for the next couple weeks. We've got 2 full weeks here. This week in particular, 8th through the 12th, just a normal trading week. We'll talk about the economic data that's coming out this week in a bit. Markets are heading higher. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then the week after that, another fairly normal week, although you've got options expiration. That's triple expiration that week. So obviously you're going to get some kind of an options unraveling move Wednesday or Thursday. Friday the 19th will be dead. Friday the 19th is the beginning of the end of the year as far as everything goes because it's options expiration. It'll be a slow day. When we come back the week after, we've got Monday and Tuesday as full days. Wednesday is Christmas Eve, so it's a half day. Thursday the markets are closed. Friday stands by itself, is never very interesting. The following week, again, Monday and Tuesday, full days. Wednesday is a full day because the last trading day of the year has to be a full day, even though it's New Year's Eve, but obviously nobody's around. Thursday's New Year's Eve, it's closed, and Friday, again, that one day wedged in there. So those 2 weeks, you're going to be really, really slow, and we'll find a couple things to do in the first hour or two of play on Monday and Tuesday each week, and that'll be about it. That's just how it goes in the holiday season. But coming back to this week and the one after, we still should have some good opportunities. Now, we had a great trading week this last week. A lot of trades worked very clean, some nice triggers that just ran well. And even on Friday here, we had something like 7 or 8 out of 10 of our trades that triggered worked well. So it was a good trading week, even though volume was not up to what I was hoping for. Probably averaged, we'll look in a minute, probably averaged about 1.65 billion shares per day on the NASDAQ. That's not great. And so I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what the volume is this next week. I mean, I'd love to think there'd be an improvement and get us a little bit better action even, but not necessarily going to happen if it didn't happen last week. And, this is probably the last normal trading week of the year, let's be honest, because the following week with options expiration, and it might even be a Fed meeting, I'll have to take a look, is just not going to be probably as clean as this one is. So let's take advantage of this week as best we can. Here's a look at the ES. This is the S&P E-mini front month futures contract daily charts. New closing high for the year. Remember, got our bottom in the middle of October, as we often do, rallied back up, and now you get into November, and you start November up, and you're up for the year. You can see all the way back to January here, and what happens? Nobody wants to sell the big leading stocks that have taken the market up and lock in those gains in the second half of November or December usually, at least until the last week or two of December. Nobody really wants to sell anything because they don't want to lock in the tax gains and pay taxes this April instead of the following April. So the market tends to drift higher, and that's what we're seeing so far. Now, understand once volume drops off in the last 2 weeks of the year, it may not be that regular retail investors are selling, but some people may be selling in anticipation of some sell-off in January. So you never know what happens once the volume drops off in those last 2 weeks. But for now, you can see we just continue to drift higher because there's no reason for anybody to sell much of the stuff that's actually got the market up. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ side here. Not much different. Not a new closing high, but right on that 10 EMA, just rode it up this week. Nobody wants to break just anything that's going on here. All the support levels are holding. The NDX, by the way, was flat, closed down 0.36 points on Friday. Here's the SOX, gained 6 on Friday, new closing high for the year. So the biotechs recycled what would have been a Seeker 13 sell signal this week. Again, a new closing high for the year here. Other stocks, not all stocks are doing as well. Here's Google. Now, keep in mind, Google's not really up for the year, so it's a lot easier for people to sell it. If they're down at all for the year, lock in a loss and write that off against other gains for the year. So this is the difference. Is a stock that's not really up for the year is more likely to kind of sell off right now, whereas you take a stock like Apple, which is up for the year this year, and nobody really wants to sell it. So look at the move it's get going since that bottom in October. So that's just the difference in how these stocks work at this time of year. We'll look at some of the other bigger stocks here really quick. Here's Amazon. Not up for the year, down this week. Here's a look at Netflix. Not up for the year, not really up for the year, down this week. Here's a look at Tesla. Tesla's obviously up for the year. It was still down this week, but it's pretty much been flat since February, let's be honest. So most of the people are not really up for the year here on this stock either. Costco, on the other hand, not an actively traded stock, but look at this. Up for the year. Up for the year, nobody wants to sell it. Okay, that's how that works. All right, let's take a look at the VIX. What did it do this week? New lowest close since September when the market rolled over. So just be aware of that. We got a 13 buy signal, by the way, on the VIX. Not that we get a lot of secret signals on the VIX, but there's a 13 buy signal on the daily chart of the VIX. That is interesting by itself. So maybe we are going to get some kind of a rollover in the market here. Maybe not this week, but at the end of the year. Crude oil, a new closing low for the year at 65.84. I filled up at the pump the other day, premium gas for $2.48 a gallon here in Phoenix. That is quite remarkable. And here's a look at gold, which did roll over just a bit. All right. So that's what we got this week in terms of daily chart outlooks. Let's take a look now at the intraday action from this week. We will go to 10-minute bars so that we can see the whole week on this chart. And again, gapped down Monday, sideways action. Tuesday, we left a little gap behind on Tuesday on the ES. Small gap up, never filled it all week. Came up and we did fill the gap from Monday and we closed right there. So the first 2 days of the week in the wash. Wednesday, small gap up, filled it quick, drifted higher. Thursday, small gap down, pushed lower, came back to fill the gap, closed even for the day. Friday, not much action at all, closed even for the day. Here's the NASDAQ side, on the other hand, did not leave the gap behind, any gaps behind. And look at this. This doesn't look very interesting on the NASDAQ, does it? We sold off Monday. We had a couple early sell-offs. Look at the selling Wednesday for the first hour, Thursday for the first hour. You know, it's not nearly as positive here. And yet the whole range for those last, except for that first hour on Monday, well, even the whole week. If you just look at the whole week, the range is only like 40 points on the NASDAQ. That's not much. So that's kind of a function of that volume number that we like to follow. And then let's go look again. And I'm going to bring the volume in before we go look at the economic data that's due this week. And again, you can see this week, yeah, it was better than Thanksgiving week. That's kind of a given. But we're kind of averaging around that 1.65 billion, which is what we traded on Friday. Not back up to some of the volumes that we saw in September and October and early November. So maybe there's a little holiday season. Keep in mind, like I said, some of the other holidays kick in around Jewish holidays kick in around December 16th this year. You know, everybody's in different mode, but it's still I was hoping for a little bit better volume than what we're currently seeing. All right, economic data for this week here in the U.S. Nothing on Monday. Tuesday, wholesale inventories and JOLTS job openings. Not a big deal. Wednesday, the MBA mortgage index, crude oil inventories, the Treasury budget number in the afternoon. Not a big deal. Thursday, initial and continuing jobless claims. Retail sales at least can matter a little bit, especially after Black Friday. Import-export prices, business inventories, natty gas. Friday, we wrap the week with PPI and the core Michigan sentiment number. Now, the big question, of course, is going to be, actually, let's take a real quick look here. Do we have, I'm going to go back to our Forex factory chart, which is more global, but I think it lets me go forward an extra week. Yes. Do we have a Fed meeting that's already on the books for the following week? And the answer to that is we do. So that following week on Wednesday, just be aware that we have a 2-day Fed meeting with triple expiration options unraveling. Yeah, that Wednesday the 17th and Thursday the 18th of December could be really, really interesting. And then after that, that's about it for the year, I bet you, in terms of real big excitement. All right, so that's what we're going to be looking at here at tradesight for the week. Is we don't have any major data to worry about, but we'll be watching volume. We'll be doing our usual thing. You know, real quick recap. We had a nice couple of trades here on Friday. We've been watching this ONNN on the daily chart. Here's the daily chart of it. Broke out on Friday, a little $10 stock that trades 21 million shares and moved very nicely from $10 to almost $10.50 at one point. We had the EXAS, another nice daily chart breakout that worked well for us. So just a nice steady trading session, and we had them most of the days this week. I think 4 out of 5 days, really good action. There was one day that was just kind of boring. So if we can get that again, even if the market's not as exciting as we like to see it, we will take it. Charts as usual brought to you by eSignal. We'll be in the lab helping you out. If you haven't taken a trial of our services, feel free to do so. And if you do find these videos useful, please like them on YouTube. That helps us out. Have a great weekend.